Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S6-6049 Twisted Trouble, Chapter 5. The weather plane hit the ground with a big thump that made us lose our stomachs, but we didn't care. It was just great to be back on the ground again. When the plane finally rolled to a stop, we all jumped up and cheered again for our brave pilot, the Freeze. But we didn't have much time to relax. The radar screens on our seatbacks started to flash. Tornado warning. We all looked out the windows. Where are we? Ralphie asked. I don't see the roller coaster. We are right in the middle of Tornado Alley, Dr. Wendy said. Tornado Alley is an area in the Midwest. About 1,200 tornadoes are reported each year in the US. More than half of them strike in Tornado Alley. This is an area that includes parts of 4 states: Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. Most Tornado Alley tornadoes happen between April and September. They most often strike in the late afternoon or early evening. Then I think we took a wrong turn someplace, Arnold said with a worried look on his face. Tornado Alley is a big place. There are more tornadoes here than any other place in the world. I know, we took a wrong turn. Wendy, I think it's time you took over the wheel. Dr. Wendy stood up to change seats with the Freeze. As she did, she took off her jacket. Written in big letters across the t-shirt was a Storm Chaser. So that's what the initials SC stand for, Wanda said. I was hoping that maybe they stood for Scaredy Cat, Arnold said. Fasten your seatbelts, kids, Dr. Wendy said as she sat down in the driver's seat. We're going to chase down the storm. I looked out the window, saw that the magic school bus didn't have wings anymore. It had turned into a magic storm chasing van. Miss Frizzle walked down the aisle, handing out cameras, binoculars, and video cams. Some chasers follow tornadoes around to study them, she said. They take photos and movies that they share with scientists. Wanda grabbed the video cam right away. I made sure I got one too. What a great show and tell for the wild weather show. Dr. Wendy wrapped the engine and then took off on one of the roads that crisscrossed the flat plains. Suddenly, she pulled over. Look out the left windows, kids, she said in an excited voice. That's our Twister. If you thought it was rough riding before, you don't want to be caught in the swirling winds now. We all crowded to the left side of the storm-chasing van. Wanda and I both started filming. We could see the Twister just beginning to form from out of the towering thunderclouds. At first, it looked like a dark funnel reaching down from the clouds. Then the funnel snaked down lower to the ground. It looked like a giant elephant's trunk, swooping down from the cloud. The Twister was moving in a zigzag pattern, and it was spinning super fast. It touched down on the ground, and then appeared to hop back up for a moment. Then it touched down again. Awesome, Dorothy Ann said. Scary, Phoebe added in a shaky voice. Dr. Wendy, how do we know the tornado won't chase us? We are to the southeast of the tornado. It's usually the safest place to film twisters. That's because tornadoes normally travel from the southwest to the northeast. Dr. Wendy and the Freeze said we could all get out to take pictures and videos. We could hear a hissing sound as the tornado moved across the sky. Then suddenly the sound turned to a roar as it touched down on the ground. Seconds later, the color of the tornado turned from gray to reddish brown. Why did it change color? Phoebe asked. It just picked up some reddish brown dirt. Dr. Wendy explained. Suddenly the tornado changed its direction. It was coming straight toward us. Back in the bus, Dr. Wendy yelled. We didn't waste any time. The minute our seatbelts How fast and Dr. Wendy took off. Oh no. I think it's following us. I looked at the speedometer on the van. How fast can a tornado travel, Dr. Wendy? I asked. Usually only about 35 miles an hour. Dr. Wendy said we should be able to stay out of its way. Whole bus breathed a sigh of relief until we heard the freak. Uh-oh, she exclaimed. We all turned to see what she was looking at. Out the back window was another twister. Hold on to your hoods, Dr. Wendy yelled. The bus was ripped off the ground. The tornado sucked us up like a giant vacuum cleaner. 1 minute, we're staring at the twister coming toward us. The next minute, we are whirling around inside it. It was intense. The winds of the twister were moving over 200 miles per hour. Later, Dr. Wendy told us that tornado winds can move even faster than that. We were twisting in a tight circle around the center of the funnel. And we are not alone in there. Outside the window of the Magic Scoom chasing van, we could see other things that had been sucked up with us. Tree flew by, then a road sign, then a shed, and then a bike. As we spun, we rose higher and higher through the whirling air. We were riding on the updraft, yelled Dr. Wendy over the roar. Lightning flashed all around us. It lit up the tornado with greenish yellow flashes. A wall of clouds surrounded us, but the other thing spinning around with us made it hard to see clearly. Liz and Jill were squashed up against the window. They both looked nervous. It looked as if they were holding paws. We were rising higher and higher to the very top of the tornado. Class, do you notice that we seem to be spinning a bit slower? Speed of the tornado is faster near the ground, where the funnel is most narrow. As we move up to the top, the funnel gets bigger and we go slower. The winds in a tornado are fastest at the bottom, where the tornado is narrow. Things spin faster when the circle they're traveling in is smaller. That's why an ice skater who brings her arms close to her body will twirl faster. To be perfectly honest, I didn't notice that we were spinning any slower. I couldn't even hear myself screaming my head off. The tornado sounded like a jet taking off all around us. I looked over at Wanda, who was sitting across the aisle from me. She actually had a video cam going. Well, I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to get home. I couldn't even think about the wild weather show inside a tornado. Updraft, updraft. A lot is going on inside a tornado. Warm air rises quickly through an updraft into the thundercloud. Then more warm air rushes in and starts to twist and spin upward. Then a twisting funnel-shaped cloud is formed. Thus, when I thought I would never stop spinning in circles, tornado did something weird. It seemed to hop once along the ground. Then the funnel became really thin. I could tell it had lost its power. All of a sudden, the Magic Storm chasing van was hanging in midair. The fridge came to the rescue. She pressed a button on the ceiling. Out popped a huge parachute, and we drifted to the ground with a plop. I want to stay home every day, Arnold whimpered. Phew, Dr. Wendy said. We were lucky. There wasn't a really big one. We yelled, not a really big one. We sat there in shock until we looked out the window. Another twister was rolling toward us. This one looked bigger than the one that had picked us up. It didn't hop or twist. It was just a big funnel plowing our way. Let's not get carried away again. This time we took shelter. From tame to terrible twisters, F0, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, incredible tornadoes. Chapter 7. Miss Frizzle reached over and pressed a button on the dashboard. The bus began to shake. But it wasn't the tornado that was making us shake. It was the Magic School Bus to the rescue. The wheels on the bus turned into giant drills. They were digging a hole into the ground. And as the hole got deeper, the bus lowered itself down into the ground. Hey, Ralphie yelled, we are in a tornado shelter. Everybody cheered. We looked around the shelter. The overhead compartments were stocked with water, crackers, and canned food. Blankets were folded neatly under each of our seats. Flashlights were tucked into all the seat backs. Then we noticed that each seat was equipped with an old-fashioned transmitter radio. We all turned in to the weather station. The tornado watch has been upgraded to a tornado warning. The announcer's voice said, several tornadoes have been spotted in the area. Please take cover. Repeat, take cover. Miss Frizzle reached up to bolt shut the thick metal doors of the shelter. Just then, Liz went to the doors, waving her arms anxiously. What's bugging Liz? Leaping lizards. Where's Jill? Freeze pushed open the door a crack, and Jill came darting in. He was one freaked out looking lizard. Liz scampered over to lick Jill's face. Look, they are friends. We thought they hated each other. About a snack while we wait out the storm. Water and crackers never look so good, Carlos said. We listened to the hail and the water pounding on the roof of a shelter. Then we heard the roar of the tornado come over us. Miss Frizzle tried to take our minds off on what's happening over our heads, so she told us some amazing tornado stories. After about 20 minutes, the storm seemed to be over. Dr. Wendy made us stay in the shelter but a little longer. Better safe than sorry. Finally, Miss Frizzle turned the switch that raised the Magic Storm shelter back up above the ground. We opened up the big metal door, scrambled out, and looked around. We couldn't believe our eyes. Awesome. Awful. The twister must have been on F4 or F5, Dr. Wendy exclaimed. The whole area was a mess. A barn had been flattened, and its boards lay like matchsticks around us. Big trees had been uprooted and had fallen on their sides. The car was sitting upside down on its roof, not far from the shelter. Look across the road. That's the really unbelievable thing about tornado. We saw Washington, less than half a mile away, stood a house and barn that hadn't been touched by the twister. They had just escaped its path of destruction. Dr. Wendy got on her cell phone, called 911 and the Red Cross. She explained to us that emergency workers come to tornado area as soon as possible after a storm to help people deal with the damage. Climb on board the bus, kids, Fritz said. We've got to put on the wild weather show tonight. There's still lots of work to do. Magic School Bus was sitting nearby, waiting for us. We all scrambled on board. As the bus started down the road, it turned into Magic School Jet and took off into the air. Look below us, Wanda said. Looking down from the air, we could see the path the tornado had taken. There was a line of uprooted trees, smashed buildings that stretched through this part of Tornado Alley. It's easy to tell that a tornado was here. See how the damage makes a swirling pattern? That's a sure sign of a twister. Soon we saw the high roofs of the rise at Weatherama. Hey, Miss Frizzle. We can't go home now. We haven't ridden on the twister yet. Carlos. Chapter 8. We got back to school with just enough time to get out of this place and the post ready for the wild weather show. We put up welcoming sign for our family. Watch out, storm watch. One break for tornado. Severe storm ahead. Enter at your own risk. Phoebe set up a weather vane by the entrance to the school. It twirled around in the breeze and then faced southwest, the direction the wind was blowing. I helped Arnold put the finishing touches on his windsock. When he put it up, it flew straight out in the breeze as the wind filled it. Ralphie was having some problems with his hydrometer. He had lost the strand of hair, Dorothy Ann's hair. Please, please, Dorothy Ann. He pleaded, just one more strand of your hair. You never know. Finding out about the humidity in the air might save a life someday. That did it for Dorothy Ann. She plucked another hair from her head for the sake of science. As for Wanda and me, we called a truce. We both have such great exhibits. I said, why don't we put them together? That sounds great, Wanda said. We set up a tornado in a bottle experiment right next to my big tornado poster. Then we edited our video together to make a great movie called A Twist of Trouble. Tornado safety trips. If a tornado is spotted in your area, go somewhere safe. If you have an underground shelter, go to it. If you don't, go to a room in the middle of your house. If possible, go to a room without windows. Cover yourself up with a mattress if you have time. If you're caught outside, run to a ditch. Lie down and cover your head. Stay away from trees. They attract lightning and can be blown over by the tornado. Here is the inside story on Twisted Trouble. Dr. Weatherby was there in a Storm Chaser t-shirt to greet our families. She talked to them about her job as a meteorologist. My father asked her if she had caught any storms lately. Dr. Wendy winked at us and said, actually, one caught me. Some of the kids did the reports on hurricanes and other wild weather. Wanda and I were the stars of the show with a tornado report. This movie is going to blow you away, Wanda said, and it did it. It was amazing, but not as amazing as the real thing. How to make a tornado in a bottle? Look at this tornado in a bottle and you'll see how it goes. The end.